Harbor kids, today's video is about disagreements and unity. Disagreements divide us and unity brings us together. So before we start, I want you to think about whether you always agree with those people you love. Do you sometimes have disagreements with your siblings? Have you ever argued with your parents or other family or friends? It turns out it is normal to not always agree with others who we really care about. And today we are going to see a time in the Bible when believers in the church in Corinth were struggling with a lot of disagreements. Watch and see what Paul does.
Paul wrote a letter to the church at Corinth. Years after Paul helped start the church in Corinth, the believers there were facing problems. One problem was that the church was divided. The people did not always get along or agree about what was most important. The believers met in small groups and had different leaders. Some groups were arguing that their leaders were better than others. One person would say, "I belong to Paul." Another would say, "I belong to Apollos," or "I belong to Peter," or "I belong to Christ." Paul wanted this to stop. Is Christ divided? Paul asked. Of course not. Jesus came to bring people together as one body, brothers and sisters in God's family. Christians should not fight about which human leader has the most wisdom or strength. What is most important is the gospel. Paul said, "The word of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but it is the power of God to us who are being saved." God uses what seems foolish to the world, that is, God, the Son giving up his life for us, in order to bring salvation to the world. Paul also reminded the church that believers cannot boast about themselves or other people. No human is as wise or powerful as God. When Paul preached, he didn't use fancy words so that people would think he was smart. He simply shared the good news about Jesus. Everyone in the church is united around Jesus, who died on the cross for our sins. He is God's wisdom and power. When we remember the gospel, we can live in unity with others. Other things, like immaturity and foolishness, cause division in the church. Paul wrote his letter to help the believers in Corinth. He told them many things about how to follow Jesus. Believers should live in such a way that people see them and know they belong to Jesus. Paul told the believers in the Corinthian church to come together because of the gospel. He reminded them that Jesus saves sinners. Because of Jesus and what he has done, believers can humbly come together as one body.
Paul told the believers in the Corinthian church to come together because of the gospel. He reminded them that Jesus saves sinners, not us. We don't have to always agree on every little thing. There is so much beauty in our differences. But boys and girls, because of Jesus and what he has done, believers can come together in agreement that as one body, the gospel, the good news, unites all people in love, and we follow Jesus' example in all situations. Be encouraged. Jesus is the greatest example to follow. We'll see you next week.